Today we're multiplying polynomials. We're going to start out small and build our way up. Here's the first example. 3x squared times the quantity of x cubed plus 4. You have to distribute the 3x squared. So it's the same thing as 3x squared times x to the third, and then plus 3x squared times 4. You're distributing this to each one on the inside. When you multiply these, you come up with 3x to the fifth plus 12x squared. Remember, you add the exponents on like variables when you multiply them. This is your answer. You have AB times the quantity a to the third plus 3ab squared minus b to the third. Distribute this to each item inside. AB times a to the third. You have an a to the first times a to the third here. That gives you a to the fourth. There is no b term with the a to the third, so it just tags along. Now you're multiplying AB times 3AB squared. 3 has nothing to multiply against, so it just stays. But you have A times A, which is A squared. And then B times B squared. That's B to the third. Now you have positive times a negative, so that means you're going to have minus here. A times nothing over here that's A, so it just stays A. And then B times B to the third is B to the fourth. That's your answer. You're going to multiply this by this. Multiply your 3 times 4 to get 12. C times c squared is c to the third. And then d squared times d is d to the third. So there's your multiplication of this times this. Now we have to go from here to this term. You're going to have a minus sign because of the minus sign in front of the 6, and the 3cd squared is positive. So now we multiply 3 times 6 to come up with 18. C times c is c squared. And then d squared times d is d to the third. Next up, we have to go from this term to this one. You have a 3 times 14. 3 times 14 is 42. C times c is c squared. And then d squared times d squared is d to the fourth. We're going to start by multiplying x squared y by 6y to the third. 6 times 1 is just 6. And then x squared times no other x term in there is just x squared. And then y times y to the third is y to the fourth. Now we have no x term in this second term here in the quantity, so it's just going to be x squared. And then we have y times y squared is y to the third. So we've done this times this and times this. Now we've got to go here and go times that. Well, there is no number to multiply against minus 28, so it's just minus 28. And then you have an x squared here, but no x term there, so it just stays x squared. And then you have y times y is y squared. So we finish this off by going from here to there. That's just going to be plus 30 x squared y. Here's an example. We have to multiply the quantity of x minus 2 times the quantity of 1 plus 3x minus x squared. Okay, so what we do is this. We start here with the x. We want to multiply that x term by each of these items. So x times 1 is x. And then x times 3x is 3x squared. And then x, putting down your minus first, x times x squared is x to the third. Once you do that, you have to go back and start with this negative 2. Treat that minus 2 as a negative 2 and multiply it against each of those three terms in the other set. So negative 2 times 1. Negative 2 times 1 is a negative 2. We can write these down here underneath what we just did, and you can match them up with their like terms. Well, we just came up with a negative 2 from right here, but there's no constant in this, so there's nothing that says you can't just write it off to the left. Next up is negative 2 times a positive 3x. That would be minus 6x. And then negative 2 times a negative x squared, which would be plus 2x squared. So that's everything we have. Add them top to bottom. You don't have any other constants here except the minus 2, so we'll just put minus 2. And then here, x plus a negative 6x is minus 5x. 3x squared plus 2x squared is 5x squared. And then minus x to the third is just out there by itself. Nothing else to add with it. Now that's what you get when you multiply and then combine like terms, but you want to put this in standard form when you're finished, descending powers of x. So you should write it as negative x to the third plus 5x squared minus 5x minus 2. You need to multiply the quantity of x squared plus 3x minus 5 by x squared minus x plus 1. So you're going to have three different lines of things to add together when we finish. But we have to start somewhere, so we will start here with your x squared. You will multiply that by each of those items over here. So x squared times x squared is going to be x to the fourth. That comes from this times this. These two here multiplied together. Then x squared times minus x, which would be minus x to the third. And then x squared times 1 is just x squared. So that's our first movement. Now we switch to this. You want to go to the 3x and multiply it by this, this, and this. So 3x times x squared is 3x to the third. And then 3x times minus x is going to be minus 3x squared. 3x times 1. That's just 3x. Okay. Now we have to move to the last one, the negative 5. Multiply that by each of those items in the other set. So negative 5 times x squared is negative 5x squared. Negative 5 times negative x is positive 5x. And negative 5 times 1 is just negative 5. So you have all of those items that you need to add up. Okay, let's start over here. X to the fourth, there's nothing to add to that. Negative x to the third plus 3x to the third is 2x to the third. X squared plus a negative 3x squared is a negative 2x squared. Negative 2x squared plus negative 5x squared is a negative 7x squared. 3x and 5x is 8x, and then you have a minus 5 that tags along at the end. This is already in descending powers of x. You have 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. So that's it. Rules. 0 power of a plus b is 1, and the quantity to the first power of a plus b is just a plus b. Now, what if you squared the quantity of a plus b? It follows a specific pattern, and for some strange reason there is an equal sign in here at the end. That should be plus. It follows this pattern. You square the first term, you multiply the two terms together, and then double them. And then you square the last term, and you add all that together. Square this, square that, put them at either end, multiply these two together, and then double it. And that will give you the answer, no matter what the terms of a and b are. A could be 3x, b could be 5y squared. If you plug it into this, it will give you the multiplied version. If you had to cube the quantity of a plus b, you could follow this pattern here. Cube the first term, and then 3 times the first term squared times the second, plus 3 times the first term times the second one squared, and then plus the cube of the last one. It looks like a different language when you see it all together the first time, but after we do a few of these, then it'll become commonplace. And tomorrow, that's what we're going to concentrate on, are the squares, the cubes, and also fourth power. If you had the quantity to the fourth power of a plus b, you can follow this pattern to get to the answer. Even if I had a equal to 3x and b equal to 5c, you could plug in 3x everywhere you see an a in here and still come up with the right multiplied version, as well as putting 5c in everywhere you see a b. Instead of, this would be a lot easier than having to do this. You would have to do a plus b, a plus b, a plus b, and then again a plus b. And when you multiply these, you would have to start somewhere. So this times this, and then here and there, you would get an answer that has 3 terms. Then you would have to multiply these together, get an answer that has 3 terms. Then multiply these together, like this. That would take quite a while. If you already had the pattern like this down, then you just start popping in what a and b are. Fifth power is the last one. That's the last one we'll look at tomorrow. The fifth power of the quantity of a plus b follows this pattern. If you have these written down today, you can have them handy with you tomorrow, and we're going to start practicing these.